everyone, welcome back. I have another cooking demonstration for you today, and I don't know about you, but lately I have been craving some comfort food, but I'm also trying to eat a little bit healthier as well, which brings me to what I'm making for dinner tonight, which is going to be chicken pot pie turnovers. And we are going to make this a little bit healthier because number one, we're cooking it at home, and two, we're gonna be using just our basic ingredients, including our phyllo dough, which replaces the puff pastry or crescent roll dough, whatever you normally use for your chicken pot pie. And we're gonna look at how we're gonna use that a little bit later, but let's go ahead and start with our filling. Okay, so the first thing you wanna do is melt about 2 tablespoons of butter in your skillet on medium heat and add in half an onion and just cook that until it's translucent, kind of getting golden brown here with my onions. And we're gonna go ahead and add about 2 cloves of garlic. Now again, if you're a garlic fan, you could totally up that if you want to, but we're gonna start with our 2 cloves and just give it a nice stir. About a minute, just get that all combined in our pan. Looking good. Alrighty. And if your pan seems too hot, which mine seems a little bit too hot, I did turn it down a touch. As it seemed a little bit hot, so you can turn that down. All right, so once that's in, we're gonna start to make our filling and bring it together here. Oh, I'm so sorry, I also added salt and pepper to the onion as well, so that's to taste, so you put as much as you like in there. Then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in our flour, okay? Now what flour is gonna do is help thicken up our filling. And all we're doing here is cooking this to get rid of that raw flavor of the flour. So again, about a minute, just let it do its thing with the onions and the garlic here. About a minute. And don't worry, all that will come off the pan once we add our liquid, which we'll get to in a second. All right, so we're just gonna give that a stir. Again, we're gonna cook off all of the raw flavor of the flour, but again, that flour is gonna be important because it's gonna help thicken our filling. All right, and then once we have that in there, we're gonna add in our next 2 ingredients, which you're gonna do 1 cup of chicken stock. Okay, now if you're gonna make this vegetarian with no chicken, you could totally do vegetarian stock or veggie stock. We're gonna add in our chicken stock and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. All right, so this is Dijon mustard that we're adding in here. Give that a stir, and then we're gonna turn our heat back up to medium high because we need to get all of that combined. And you can already see, if I take my spatula, another reason I love my spatula, and just start getting into the pan here, that all that flour and everything else is coming off of the pan. Kind of deglazing the pan, so to speak. Now you could do this with white wine or things like that too, but we're just gonna do the stock for today. And again, we're gonna cook this until it starts to come together. All right, okay, so we're already bubbling and it's starting to come together a little bit here. So we're gonna go ahead and add in our protein and vegetables and everything here. Since it is a chicken pot pie, we're gonna add in our already cooked, chopped up chicken. This is about 1.5 cups of chicken that we're gonna add. But again, if you wanna make this vegetarian, you don't have to do the chicken part. You can do some other things instead. And then we're gonna do just some frozen veggies. Now, if you wanna make this from complete scratch and do your own vegetables, that's totally fine too. But in the sake of convenience, and honestly, I find that frozen vegetables keep their texture really well in these. You're still gonna have that kind of bite to the vegetable, and frozen veggies do maintain their nutritional value as well. You know, even more so than if you were cooking you know, fresh veggies all the way through. So all we've done here is add in our frozen veggies. You don't have to do anything special here. I like a lot of vegetables in my chicken pot pie, but if you don't want this many, you could totally cut back if you wanted to. And if you wanted to up the chicken or whatever else, you could totally do that too. I just like a lot of vegetables in my chicken pot pie, but you can already see by adding that together, it's starting to thicken. But we're gonna let that kind of cook for a couple of minutes until you... Okay, so we've added our protein and our vegetables, and now we're gonna turn our heat to a low temperature to a simmer. So, you know, kind of a low heat here. And we're gonna let this simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes until it becomes more of a gravy sauce consistency as opposed to kind of the watery one that we have right now. And then we'll be ready to fill. Now we're ready to go ahead and put together our pot pie turnovers. So the first thing that you need to realize is that we're gonna be using something called phyllo dough, which is again, a really light, flaky pastry dough. And if you've ever made spanakopita or anything like that before you've used phyllo, you have to thaw it out. And I made the mistake of not remembering to do that the other night and had to wait until the next day to do this. So in the box, you'll get, you know, individual packets like that. So pop it in your fridge overnight and it will be thawed out for you the next day. Best way to do that. Don't try to rush it with phyllo dough. So with phyllo dough, you do have to work carefully and quickly. So what you wanna do is, you can see it's like paper, and you wanna put one piece on a cutting board or some type of surface like that, and you're gonna lightly brush it with oil. And what this is gonna do is help make it pliable, but also keep it, you know, from drying out. So, and it also helps it cook, makes it nice and golden when it cooks. We're just gonna lightly brush that, and you can see, very fragile. So you have to work kind of quickly, but also carefully. We're gonna take another sheet of phyllo and we're gonna put it on top. You can see it just lays right on there. Whoop, see? Quickly, but carefully. So easy to fix. So again, you can just brush that again. It happens to the best of people with this one. So you're gonna brush this one with the oil. I'm just using olive oil with this one. You're gonna take another sheet, and we're trying to make a kind of a layer here. So I like to do 4, so we're gonna do 4. You could do less if you want less of the phyllo, but I'm gonna go with 4 today. So again, just giving it a brush, not overdoing it. If I feel like it's getting a little bit low, I can just, you know, put it back on my pastry brush again. And we're gonna do one more layer to make it our 4. Just like that. And one more brush with the olive oil. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our filling. And what's cool about phyllo is you can make this into desserts as well. I've done this with apples and all kinds of things with desserts. There we go. But since we're on our chicken pot pie here, we're gonna take our filling that we've already made. And again, we cooked that down. I let it sit for a while I set this up, and it's ready to go. I'm gonna put about, you know, 1/4 to maybe 1/2 cup of the filling on the bottom of the corner here. As you can see, just like that. You don't wanna go too much because then you won't be able to fold these up. And then we're gonna do a little bit over here as well. And you can see hopefully where I'm going with this. We're gonna do one more right here. All right, just like so. I feel like we need some carrots in that one. There we go. All right, so now you're going to cut these into thirds. So I think a pizza wheel is great. You could use a chef's knife as well, but as you can see, it just cuts right through the phyllo. And now we're going to fold. We're gonna make a triangle, which means we're gonna bring our cover here right to the other side. And now we're gonna fold it up in the shape of our triangle. Whoops, we're stuck, there we go. In our triangle. And as you fold, it will start to close. So we have it folded, and I have one more fold here to close up my little pocket, and I have my triangle. So, like I said, if you've made spanakopita or things like that before, you've definitely done this. But you're basically just making a turnover. And if you're making just turnovers, you do the exact same thing. So fold, fold, you're just following your triangle. See, we're doing geometry here today. There you go, right? Cooking is always science and math and reading and social studies, all kinds of stuff, you guys. It's always learning while we cook. So again, fold, and you remember that one last little fold there to close it up on the bottom, and you have your... Okay, so we just brushed the tops of our turnovers one more time with a little bit more olive oil, and now we're gonna put these in the oven preheated at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes or until they're nicely golden brown. And they're done. 25 minutes later, you have flaky golden brown turnovers, perfect for dinner.